Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live. And this may be a special feature. This may be a one time thing, but we're doing a top 10 ranking today. And I was thinking about it. I don't think this is going to be like a ranked top 10. You know what I mean? I'm starting out with 20 categories, and then I think I'm just going to bust it down to 10. I may do a top 5 within there, but I think just generally, we're cutting it down from 20 to 10. And if you don't know, this is the Hub category's official ranking, coming from an expert. A certified, I wouldn't say a certified gooner. I'd say I'm not up there with those guys. But the thing about a lot of those guys that people don't realize is that they get invested into one specific category. I'm not like that. That's not my game. I don't play the game like that. You know what I mean? I I do I do have my favorites, but I'd like to jump around. I can go from this to that to this, really no problem in there. I've got a few things that I don't like. I mean, obviously, uh, I don't like the dicks going into the dude butts. I don't like the when a person has tits and also a dick. I'd say I'm not a big fan of that, but pretty much everything else that's legal, I'm A-okay with. You know what I mean? So, I think I'm a good person to do this ranking. I'd say I'm fairly good at it. And this is the official top 20 from the website. They have like an analytics website. I guess they hired like one of the Asian gooner nerds they have. They let this guy, they were like, you can sit in the chair for a cuck porn if you do the analytics for us. And I guess he did it because it's more than just the top 20. They have I have no idea. It looks like it's just past 20, maybe 30. Um, but it's a fair amount. And they've also got a map here, which is it's very interesting to see this map. It really reveals what people think about themselves. Like I'll drop a couple examples right here. America, what do you think number one in America is? It's ebony. Hey, a little bit of a surprise there, but I mean, we know it's Megan the Stallion is pretty big here, so that's no surprise. The north of Africa, the biggest category is Arab, so they're kind of obsessed with themselves. Brazil, their number one is Brazilian. Most of Africa is ebony as well. And I think Japanese is number one in Japan, and French is number one in France. So it seems like a lot of these countries are really full of themselves, which I don't enjoy. I don't like that aspect of the game. I'm not looking for slightly overweight 5'5" incel with a receding hairline Xerox off alone in a room. That's not what I'm personally looking for, but you know, hey, it's the name of the game. It's the name of the game. And so I did copy down the top 20, and I'll read them out for you real quick. So number 1 we got MILF, number 2 we got anal, 3 is Japanese, 4 is lesbian, 5 is mature, 6 is ebony, 7 is transgender, 8 is threesome, 9 is hentai, 10 is amateur, 11 is popular with women, 13 is Asian, 14 is big tits, 15 is cream pie, 16 is verified amateur, 17 is cartoon, 18 is big dick, 19 is big ass, and 20 is public. So we got a little bit of redundancy in here. Like number 1 and number 5, I don't know. I'd say I enjoy both of those things, and I figure I should talk about how I feel about each of these categories a little bit, just so you can suss me out. Everyone has their preferences. I have my own. And we're gonna start off with number 1, obviously, we got MILF up here, and I do enjoy it. It's probably one of my favorites. It definitely ranks within the top 2 or 3 to me, probably. I really enjoy it. But the thing I've been noticing, recently, especially post-pandemic, as a connoisseur, as someone who has been, doing this since I was 12 years old, I'm kinda like the Tony Tony Hawk at this shit. It says whatever. But the thing I've been noticing is we got a lot of, rhinos, you know, and if you know anything about politics, then you know the term rhino. Rhino, and there's obviously dino as well. Rhino means Republican in name only. And then dino means Democrat in name only. These are minos. Fuck. We don't want to be add an extra letter on there. We're gonna have a big problem here, especially with the nature of what we're talking about. But no, Mino, Mino, no R on the end of that, Mino, MILF in name only, and it's because these people are, these women are 25, 26 years old, and with the boob job and all. That's not what I want to see. That is not what I'm talking. At least 35 minimum is what I'm looking for in a player like this. I'm looking for someone who maybe a few stretch marks here and there. Tits that are saggy but not pitbull that's had 18 litters of puppy saggy. You know what I mean? I'm looking for I'm looking for an ass with a bit of cellulite. I'm looking for a skin with, that's got some blemishes on it. I'm looking for a few wrinkles here and there. I'm looking for a unusual haircut. That's what I'm looking for in this category. I'm not looking for a 26-year-old that got knocked up by some random dude and had a bunch of plastic surgery. That's not what I'm looking for in this category. And I might go even so far as to say, I don't know if Sarah J fits into this. She definitely fits into number 5, mature, which is why I understand why MILF is number 1 and then mature is number 5. They're two completely separate things. Anyone that knows the game knows that. It's a little bit redundant because, people don't know. These people uploading this shit, the people making this shit, they use the terms interchangeably when they're really not. They're really not. But MILF being number 1, I don't know how I feel about that. I just don't. I feel like a lot of people, they don't understand the nature of that game. They're like, "Oh, look at this MILF," and it's like, that's it's like calling Kim Kardashian a MILF. It's like, really, really, this is what we're doing. Someone whose whole goal in life, right? Like Kim Kardashian's whole goal in life is to look as young as possible, and that's not what I'm looking for. I feel like, if you want to do that, be a purist about it, right? It's like Islam. I don't necessarily. I'm obviously not a Muslim, but if you're gonna claim to be a Muslim, full throttle. Same with the Christians, same with the Jews, same with the Buddhists and the Hindus. All that shit. If you're gonna do it, go full throttle. And so this category being number 1, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I don't see a problem with it, but I feel like the game is starting to slip a little bit. A lot of people are losing sight of what's really important when it comes to this category, and I just don't know how I feel about that. And then number 2, we got anal. I've never been a big. I just don't understand it personally. It it kind of just seems like I don't know. Just watching a woman degrade herself, is that it? Like I don't know. I just don't get it. And not that I'm necessarily against that. As we'll get into later, I'm really pissed that piss isn't on this list. But anal being number 2, I've never been big into it, you know what I mean? Even like a DP, I'm not really big into that. My number 1, I'm just gonna come out and say it is lesbian. It's my favorite one by far, far and away. If you catch me on like a random Tuesday at, 8 in the morning, that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm watching at, 8 in the morning, 7:30, 6 in the morning. That's what I want to start my day with. That's what I want my first of 8 nuts of the day to be. I want it to be lesbian, you know what I mean? But anal being up there, a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people talk about it, especially as a fantasy. I'm just not that big into it. I just don't understand the nature of it. You know what I mean? I feel like there's other things out there that if you're, into the degradation of women, which this is all bad, people are like, "No, it's women empowerment." It's like, "No, it's not, dude." Let's let's be honest with ourselves here for a second. Everyone who owns these companies is a man. These women are getting, you know what I mean? That's like working in a copper mine and being like, "Oh, this is copper, this is miner empowerment." And it's like, "No, it's not, dude." Some rich British dude is 1,000 miles away, putting wax in his mustache and curling it up while he laughs at the fact that an Indian dude is dying in, a diamond mine 1,000 miles away from him. He doesn't care. This isn't women empowerment. So let's just be forthright with that. A lot of people like to pretend it is. It really isn't. These are truly broken people, all of them, the men and the women. Anyone involved in this industry is deep down a truly not sick, but some of them certainly are sick, but just a truly broken person, a person who just doesn't understand, you know, what a healthy sex life is. And hey, look, I'm right in that boat with them. Obviously, I'm doing the rankings, so I'm right there with them. I'm not talking shit, but these are all truly broken people. And like I said, anal, I never got it, never been a gigantic fan of it. I won't skip over it necessarily. If the video, if the clip, whatever I'm watching has the other aspects of the thing I like, I'll watch it, but it's not something that I seek out. So number 2, I understand that it's very big in the cultural zeitgeist. I understand that a lot of people enjoy it. It's a fantasy for a lot of people. Just not my personal cup of tea. I think it will end up in the top 10 though, just because of legacy. I think the legacy, the name, the family name around it just gets it within the top 10 for me personally. And there's going to be a few others on here that I think, even though I'm not a big fan of, just the legacy and the talk around it, the hype around it will get them into the top 10. And then we're on to number 3, Japanese. Once again, I'm not going to skip over it necessarily, but it's not something that I'll just seek out, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm a big fan of lesbian and Japanese. It's it's weird. Anyone that's ever clicked on one of those videos, they kiss each other like zombies. It's just open mouth, just maul each other's faces. So it's weird. I think it's once again, this is just a I think it's a fantasy thing for people. I think a lot of people they fantasize about Japan, they romanticize Japan. I think this is an extension of, anime culture becoming bigger in America. And I think it's just, the people who aren't willing to dive full force into the cartoons, into the animated shit, they kind of go halfway with Japanese, which is, once again, why I'm not the biggest fan of it personally, because there's no such thing as halfway crooks. You're either in it or you're not. So I don't know. And I feel like the Japanese are kind of like the Germans, not only in the sense that they were both Axis powers in World War II, but in the sense that their adult videos are incredibly deranged and sickening. Just you got the surface level shit where it's just like it's American, it's just standard, but they're speaking, German or Japanese, but anything below that surface level, that's just like the fat. That's like a congealed layer on top of the pot. And then you got the soup in there, and the soup's got all kinds of horrible things that, I feel like most people don't want to watch. Um but yeah, not something that I seek out, but I understand it. I understand, kind of the legacy, the aura surrounding it. Anyone that's ever looked for anything on Reddit before has stumbled across a Japanese video sooner or later. So I think once again, that's one that's gonna be not a personal favorite, but a top 10 based on legacy, name, aura alone. And then we got my personal favorite at number 4, lesbian. It's truly the best one. I don't think there's a debate around it. You can call me childish because of it, and I will call you wrong because it's not childish. All right, it's the most grown up. It's an understanding of porn that most people don't have. Most people, "Ugh, I just want to watch people have sex." It's like, well, then that this is not that. This isn't people having sex. This is porn. It's a completely different thing. So I don't I don't understand why people would, discredit it based off that idea. It's like, well, I'm not a lesbian. I don't want to watch lesbians have sex. Well, you're not having sex with someone. That's the thing about it, is that this is not real. It's not a real thing. It's a movie, right? It's like watching Mission Impossible and seeing, Tom Cruise fucking do a backflip off of a C5 Galaxy and being like, well, that's not real. It's like, yeah, none of it's real. So it's a personal favorite of mine. I enjoy it. What's better than one pair of tits and ass? Two pairs of tits and ass. I don't think there's a question there as to it being the number one. I think it's my number one across, and it's number one consistently. I feel like even the subcategories within it are just so much better than regular, straight shit that's going on. So I think that's if I do a definitive top 5 of, I place it in order of what I think is the best. I think that's going to be number 1. I'm just going to have to put that out here right now. And then number 5, we got mature. Once again, I think a lot of people conflate this with MILF when in reality they're not the same thing. I I enjoy it every now and then. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a Sarah J. Soldier. I'd say I'm probably a private first class within the Sarah J. Soldier Army. A lot of people, a lot of I feel like actresses within that category don't understand the nature of what they're doing. A lot of people they try to look young when it's just not what people want. It's not we don't want a 35-year-old woman trying to look like she's 20. We want a 35-year-old woman trying to look like she's 35 or 40 or 50. I'd say 50 is probably the cutoff for that. I know some people like to go older. I'd say for me personally, it's a cutoff, but I can understand if you'd want to go just like a little bit older than that, especially you mix mature and lesbian. I feel like that can be a wild ride. I feel like that's a hit or miss though, in my personal opinion, but 5, I completely understand it. And then, yeah, just I don't got a lot more to say about that. I feel like everything I said about MILF kind of can apply to the mature category, especially with the conflation of the two. And that's a problem that, someone's gonna have to deal with sooner or later, in my opinion. It's people are ignoring it. It's you know what I mean? It's like a really good NFL player who just keeps getting in drunk driving incidences, but it's like he gets a sack every game. So it's how mad can we get at him for it? But it's gonna be a problem that comes back to bite some people in the ass, you know what I mean? Especially for us aficionados. It's like, well, I wanna watch mature, and I'm getting MILF. I'm getting, a 26-year-old girl with a bunch of plastic surgery, and that's not what I'm looking for. That's not the thing, that's gonna, make me come. Let's just be honest here. It's not what I'm looking for. It's not the thing that's really gonna get me going. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about mature. And then number 6, we have Ebony. Once again, not something that I necessarily seek out. Every once in a while, I'll be like, I'm in the mood for it. Not something that I seek out necessarily. I feel like it's kind of in the same vein as Japanese, where it's like it's kind of a fetish thing, where it's you just want to see. I don't know. It's like some weird internalized thing of wanting to see that, but I think it's a solid enough category. You don't got the big stars in there. There's not a ton of big stars in there. You got Cherokee Diaz, Mariah Mills, and a few others in there. I'm not the biggest. I'm not a big name guy. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, Brad Pitt's in this movie, so I'm gonna go see it." That doesn't necessarily make me go and watch a movie. You know what I mean? Just knowing that Brad Pitt is in it. There's very few actors that'll make me go watch a movie, and so I feel like if you are also like that, then this is a category for you. There's not a ton of big names in there, but it's kind of like an early A24 movie. Anyone that watched old A24 movies like pre 2021 probably, there's not a ton of big names in there, but they're always solid. And that's how I feel like for this category. I feel like that's where this ranks for me. It's like not a ton of big names, but no matter which one you click on, you're gonna be getting some solid action in there. So nothing to be upset about there. I completely understand it at number 6. I thought it might be a little bit higher. Like we said, it's number 1 in America. So there's got to be something there, something maybe that I'm missing a little bit. Maybe I'm not looking in the right places. It's like I said, nothing against it. I don't personally seek it out a whole ton, but I don't see any problem with it being at number 6. And then we got number 7. We got transgender, and this is a very, very, very controversial category. It's a lot of people, they talk about how these people have an advantage over natural women, and I completely I completely understand that. In sports, transgender people, male to female, and that's what I'm assuming most of this is. I haven't seen any F to M. I really haven't seen any M to F either, but I'm assuming this is mostly M to F, and I feel like they do have an advantage. I feel like you have to call that out, even if it is even if it you have to accept that advantage and just move on. You have to understand that the advantage is there, see it, and just internalize it and understand that it's there. They do have an advantage. I feel as if there's really no question about that. They got more of that drive in them. They got a little bit more testosterone, and maybe that's a problem we're going to see in the future, especially with plastic surgery getting so big. Because if you take testosterone, you kind of, as a woman, you become more masculine. But with plastic surgery there, that can mitigate that. So that might be something we're seeing in the future. A lot of these women, they're losing the love of the game, and they're like, hey, I need to shave a little time off my 40-yard dash. Let me take a little bit of testosterone, and the plastic surgery will make up for that in the looks department. So number 7, it's I've seen one. It's especially after Matt McCusker talked about it. I was like, that guy, he kind of knows what's going on. I watched it. I'm not. I don't like it at all. It's very weird, especially because they're so masculine looking, and especially because the tits they're just so fake. Everything about it is so fake, which is ironic. It is ironic that I'm calling that out just in this category, but it's I'm not the biggest fan, but once again, the legacy around it, I think it'll make it into the top 10, even though it's not a personal favorite of mine. And like I said, my viewing of it is limited to maybe one video all time. So I feel like maybe I've seen some pictures online where people will be like, "Hey, isn't this chick hot?" And then you're like, "Yeah, that chick's fucking hot." And it's like, "No, it's a dude." And you're like, "Well, I'm not looking at it as a dude, right?" Like that's the other thing about it is if someone shows you a pic of like a hot trans chick, Hunter Schafer is my personal example, or even a dude, right? James Charles was very big for this because James Charles has a big, flat, juicy ass, not flat, big juicy ass, big fat juicy ass, and it's someone will be like, "Oh, you're gay for looking at that." I never saw a dick, right? Like that's I feel like the problem with that argument. I never saw a penis. I never saw a penis or balls, so you can't accuse me of that. I think just because I never saw the penis and balls. So I think once again this will make it into the top 10 based off legacy alone, but we'll have to really break it down a little bit more. And then number 8, we have threesome. And this is just I think this just the way I feel about it will take it out of the top 10 for me. I'm not like I said, I think lesbian being my number 1 category really reveals a lot about me as a viewer, as an aficionado, as a sommelier, some might say. And so, yeah, obviously I'm not a big fan of this one. I don't fully understand it, especially if it's 3 chicks, okay, you got me. That's a good hook, you know what I mean? You're reeling me in. You got a little bit of stink bait on the end of that thing, and I'm a catfish. I'm gonna bite that 10 out of 10 times, and I'm gonna even if I get caught, I'm gonna enjoy it at least a little bit. But it's, especially when you're talking 2 dudes and a chick, that's not something that's in my wheelhouse, I'd say. Not really at all. 2 chicks, 1 dude, that just becomes a game, you know what I mean? It takes a really good coach to be able to manage that, and look, there is some coaches out there that can manage, these players like that, but for me, there's not a whole ton of coaches that are able to do that, and there's not a whole ton of players that are able to do that, and I'm talking FFM, 2 chicks, 1 dude. It's yeah, I think this one, I'm not a big fan of it at all, but I guess a lot of people enjoy it. Once again, I feel like this is a fantasy thing that a lot of people have, but I couldn't imagine that being a fantasy for me, and it's not something that I enjoy watching. And then number 9, we got hentai. This is just it's like Japanese. It's an extension of anime becoming very big in America, and really anime becoming very big in Japan. I'm gonna pull up the map again to see if it's number 1 in Japan. I think Japan, their number 1 might be Japanese. It's hard to tell. Yeah, yeah. I think Japanese is number 1 in Japan. It's kinda hard to tell with the map. It's a little bit small, but this is a very big category. It's a very popular category, and I think based off of the nature of it, it will rank within the top 10 for me. It's so big. It's kind of taken the world by storm. Even if it isn't your personal favorite, even if you hate it, you still have to acknowledge its greatness. It's kind of like Lamar Jackson. A lot of people talk about Lamar Jackson and they're like, "Ah, I just don't like the way he plays. He runs the ball too much. He's a little bit reckless, but uh, it's taken the world by storm. It's been dominant. I feel like for a few years there, it was probably number 1. I feel like maybe that's a product of the pandemic a little bit, people not interacting with each other as much, people watching a lot of TV shows. A lot of people probably started watching anime during that time because I feel like every anime has like 20 seasons and each season has like 100 fucking episodes in it. And so I feel like maybe this was like it was maybe like a Mickey Mouse type of number 1 category during that time, but it was still a number 1 category. You still have to acknowledge its greatness, whether you like it or not, even if you hate it, even if you despise it. There is a certain aura around it that you have to acknowledge. And then number 10, we have amateur. Not a big fan of this. I like watching the pros play. I like it. It's kind of why I don't watch a whole ton of college football. I enjoy the pros. I enjoy the way the pros play. Even if it's a little more boring, even if the crowds, even if it's a little more systematic, even if it's not as crazy and as fun to watch, it's hit or miss. You know what I mean? It's and obviously all of the greats within this category are going on to go to another category. And so for me, that's just why I don't enjoy it. It's like all the good ones have already been weeded out, and all the greatness is in one pool over here, as opposed to this where it's really hit or miss. You know what I mean? You might recruit a 5-star, and he ends up being ass. You might recruit, someone who's a 0-star. You pick him up from a JUCO team or whatever, and he ends up being a top 10 pick in the NFL. So that's where this one lies for me. I feel like all the good ones have been weeded out, and they've become professionals at this point. So uh, I'm not a big fan of this one. And then number 11, we have popular with women. I feel like we can just throw this one out right now because that's just a lie. That's just this one's just not true. This just doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form. There is no such thing as popular with whatever's popular with men is going to be popular with women. And I feel like that even that being a top 10 category, or this is number 11 on the list, I guess. So this being a top 20 category, just outside of the top 10, I feel like it's not women watching this. It's probably going to be mostly men being like, what do women think is hot? How can I apply this to my game? And so I feel like, the kind of mystery, the kind of fun, the magic around it, the fact that women are watching this, it kind of gets erased when you think about it a little bit. You know what I mean? I think about it and I'm like, but how could it be in the top 20? Because it doesn't make sense. We'll get to number 18 is Big Dick. I feel like that's probably bigger with women than popular with women. I feel like popular with women is probably bigger with men. So I think we can just throw this one out right here, right now. I don't understand it at all. I was completely shocked to my core when I saw this one within the top 20. And then number 13, we have Asian. Kind of redundant when you think about the Japanese. And I feel like most of the Asian stuff you're gonna get is probably gonna be Japanese. I feel like they're, a big producer. They're kind of a maybe not an Alabama, but like a Clemson. Like they get a lot of players into the league. It's very popular. It's always a good team to watch, and so I feel like Asian is it. It's kind of redundant a little bit because so much of it is Japanese, if that makes sense. I'd say probably at least 50%, if not more, is Japanese. So I feel like that just automatically kind of gets it kicked out of the game. It's there's not a whole lot more to say about it. It's kind of like ebony in my opinion. It's like I'm not going to seek it out, but if I see it, in something that I'm looking for, I'm not going to necessarily say no. And that applies to most of this stuff. A lot of this stuff, I'd say transgender is not one of them. Threesome is not one of them. One of them. Hentai is not one of them. And then, yeah, maybe a few of these other ones aren't. Even if I'm seeking something out, I'll be like, well, that has this in it, so I'm gonna kick it out. Those are the top three that I'm thinking as far as that idea goes. So yeah, not a whole lot more to say about this. And number 14 is big tits, and it's something that I enjoy. But here's the thing: we're talking about Pornhub here, so these are mostly videos, and it's I don't know. I feel like it doesn't when we're talking about, you know, like chicks, just a chick being hot. Yes, big tits does make a chick hotter, but I mean for porn it does do something for it for sure, but I'm just looking for better gameplay in my opinion. This is just an incredible athlete, just going and doing what they're going to do. So if this is kind of a talent plus hard work thing. This is just seeking out talent can be a solid, game plan. It can be a solid strategy, to just get an idea of who, of what you want in terms of talent. But I'm more of a hard work guy. You know what I mean? It's even if you don't have the talent, even if you don't have the measurables, the inherent attributes, as long as you have that, as long as you have that work ethic, that hard, that ability to play, you're going to be on my team no matter what. And so I feel like, and so for that, I feel like this could it, it's a question mark. It is a question mark. I'm feeling like this is probably going to be a late round pick for me. And obviously, these are the best of the best we're talking about. This is the cream of the crop. So if this is a personal favorite of yours, I'm not necessarily talking shit about it, but this is the top 10. This is the definitive list from an aficionado. And so, like I said, if it's a personal favorite, if that's what you like, if you enjoy just watching someone who's a pure athlete go out there and just dunk on people a few times a game, even if he doesn't score the most points, I can understand enjoying that. But it's just once again not for me. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it makes its way into the top 10. And then number 15, we have cream pie. Once again, this goes into the anal category for me, where it's like, what are we doing here, guys? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not something that I seek out. Like I said, lesbian is my number one, so it's even within that, it's almost impossible. Not almost impossible, literally impossible to find. And so this isn't even a. If I come across it, okay, that's fine. It's just not something that I'll ever seek out, and probably something that I don't watch a whole lot. And even that point, when it reaches that point, I'm already done. I'm already in and out. You know what I mean? I'm a Navy SEAL. I'm Delta Force. It's good and it's efficient. That's how I play the game. You know what I mean? Just efficiency. Efficiency is rule number one. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, that doesn't. You don't want to enjoy yourself. I don't enjoy the lead up. I enjoy the home run. I enjoy the grand slam. I like seeing guys get to the home plate. I don't, you get an RBI and you get to first base. I don't. There's nothing exciting about that to me. And so I feel like for that reason, and I feel like a lot of people maybe share that sentiment that I share, and that's probably why lesbian is a big thing for me, because there's no big grand finale like it is. If you enjoy baseball, then you probably enjoy the cream pie category on Pornhub. And so it's once again, I think this is a fantasy, a fetish thing of dudes who are like, well, I can't come in a chick because I don't want to have a baby, but like if I can watch someone else do that, then that'll be enough to satiate me. And so I can kind of understand why it's in the top 20, but once again, for me, just not a big fan. And then number 16, we have verified amateur. And this, once again, even if amateur gets within the top 10, one of these is probably going to be within the top 10. we're I'd probably lean a little bit towards kicking out amateur because it's verified amateur. If you're looking for amateur stuff, if you're looking for amateur stuff, then it's why not go full force into it and get verified amateur? You know what I mean? And so if we're debating between amateur and verified amateur, I think verified amateur it's more pure, you know. And so I feel like for that reason it's probably going to rank above amateur even if both of them somehow make their way into the top 10, which I doubt. I doubt it could, you know, it's JJ Watt and TJ Watt. They both could make their way into the first round, but I doubt it. And then number 17 we have cartoon. I don't know what the difference between hentai and this is. Like I said, it's not something that I watch personally. I feel like I've maybe ventured into that territory once or twice, and I was just like, this isn't. It just, I don't know, something about it. I don't enjoy it. And I don't like animated movies and TV shows a whole lot either. I'm a big Family Guy guy. Everyone loves Family Guy, but I feel like this is yeah, just not a big personal fan of it, and I don't understand the delineation between this and hentai. Maybe hentai is just like an anime type of thing, and this is more like, it could be Marge Simpson. Everyone, anyone who's ever been on the hub has seen those ads where Marge Simpson, she's like leaning over the fucking sink and her tits go in the sink. You guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. Or Lois Griffin or any one of those guys. And so this might honestly, it's number 17, whereas hentai's number 9. But I feel like for me personally, this this resonates more with me, and so this probably will end up ranking above hentai, despite the popularity and the air around it. This might be the animated thing that makes it into the top 10. Both might make it in, but I don't know. And then number 18, we have Big Dick. Like I keep saying, I'm a lesbian guy through and through. It's what I enjoy watching. No matter what, I think it's gonna be a great game to watch. And so it's like SEC ball a little bit. It's like even if I don't watch a whole ton of college football, but if I do, I'm either gonna watch, the local teams play, like the teams that my friends like playing, and I'm gonna watch SEC ball, or maybe Big Ten. The SEC is kind of fading a little bit out, and maybe that's how I feel about Big Dick too. I feel like it's fading a little bit out. I feel like as people mature and maybe understand the nature of what they're doing a little bit more, they're gonna go over to lesbian. And so, I think it's 18 for a reason. I feel like maybe in earlier years, back when the game was a little bit different, back when, a fullback could, make $30 million a year or whatever, this could make it into the top 10, but the game is changing. And I think people who enjoy this category maybe need to accept that a little bit. Like, yeah, maybe you're not going to be getting as much content as you usually do, but and I maybe feel like this is more a little bit for the women, but it's also for the men as well. Because here's the thing about it: if I'm watching a movie and an ugly dude pops up, even though I'm not attracted to dudes, I'm gonna be pissed, right? Because if I have to sit down for 2 hours and watch a movie, I want to watch hot people within that movie, and so I can't. I'm not angry at this pick at all. This isn't, me being like, "Oh, you're fucking gay because you like big dicks." No, I understand it, right? It's kind of like, some of these actors in these movies now, especially like I was saying, the A24 movies, they're just hiring like the biggest, like ugliest freaks you've ever you've ever seen in your life, uh, instead of like the hot dudes. If I'm gonna watch a movie, I want to see Chris Hemsworth in it, right? I want to see a hot Jack dude with long blonde hair. I don't know. It's even though I'm not attracted to that, it's still something I would prefer to see over, a Steve Buscemi, right? Like if Steve Buscemi played Thor and you just saw his like skinny fat body and his like melting face, you wouldn't enjoy the movie as much. And so I'm not angry at this pick. And then we have Big Ass. Once again, everything I said about big tits maybe can apply to this, but I would put this over big tits just because of I feel like it's more a part of the game. You know what I mean? It's even though I think there probably are more tit guys than ass guys, especially in America, it's to me it applies more to the game a little bit, right? It's like when an offensive lineman runs a slow 40-yard dash and people are like, "Well, I'm not going to draft him. Oh, he's dropped on my board." It's like, "What are you talking about here? The 40-yard dash doesn't apply to this at all, right?" It's maybe more like the three cone shuttle, like that drill in the NFL combine. I feel like big ass is like kind of that. It's more practical. It makes more sense. It's gonna come into play a little bit more. That sideline to sideline speed, especially for something like a linebacker, is gonna come into play more than just a straight on 40-yard dash. And so I feel like for me, I prefer this to big tits, and they're kind of close in the ranking. Big tits is number 14, and then big ass is number 19. And so I feel like those two things are I just don't understand why big tits is above big ass. It's maybe I'm like a defensive minded coach, and so I don't understand why people are always, they always need to take a quarterback number one overall because I'm more of a defensive guy. But I don't know. I just don't see the appeal of big tits over big ass. Sorry, I don't. I don't see it at all in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I enjoy it, but I don't see why it's over big ass. Sorry, I just don't. At number 20, we have public. This to me goes in the cream pie slash anal category, and maybe even with the transgender thing, where it's just like it's just something people want to do in their own lives, and so they just kind of apply it to this. And so I feel like for me, for that reason, it's number 20 for a reason. It's low on the totem pole. I feel like I've maybe seen a few videos here and there. It could also go in like the ebony category, or the Japanese or the Asian. It's not something that I'll seek out necessarily, but if the video has everything else that I enjoy within it, why not watch it? And so I feel like for me, and just like the general consensus around it, I've never heard anyone talk about that. I've never heard anyone talk about it as like, oh yeah, that's what I want. I've heard people talk about black chicks like that, Asian chicks like that. Never heard anyone talk about public like that. And so I feel like for me, for that reason, I think we can automatically eliminate it from the top 10. And so now what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna work our way up from there, and we're gonna just start eliminating things here and there, maybe compare things against each other, um, just to get our top 10 ranking, and then maybe from the top 10 ranking, we'll do the top 5. And so I'll just highlight that one real quick and kick it out. And so number 19, we have big ass. I think this makes it into the top 10 for me over big tits. You can, yell at me all day about it. I think big tits, I think we can eliminate that one right now just because, America is becoming a little bit, we're going back to the early 2000s a little bit, or the 80s or the 90s or something like that, back when big tits, were more popular over big ass. And so I maybe feel like in former years, I haven't, checked the stats, checked the comparison over time, but I feel like as the country moves in a more conservative direction like that, big tits are going to continue to get big. As country music continues to dominate the charts, I think big tits will continue to rise in the rankings. But I feel like for me, the way I play the game, and I feel like the way most people should play the game, it's big ass over big tits. every every single day of the week. I feel like if you're giving me the option, I'm choosing big ass. It just plays into the game a little bit more. It just makes more sense as to why it's there over big tits. Not saying I don't like them, not saying it's a problem for me. Once again, this is the top 10 we're talking about here. So this is going to be very contentious. There's going to be things that, slip just outside of the top 10, and I don't even know if big tits is one of those. I really I really don't know if it's one of the ones that just like barely slips out. I think 14 is a fair ranking for it. I think 14 is where it belongs. And then past that, big ass, I think we're going to put that in the top 10. And then I think big dick it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one for me because if I'm watching, if I'm not indulging in the lesbian stuff, I want the big dick there, right? It's just something I want there. Big dick is it's a solid center. It's a solid, interior offensive lineman to me, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It kind of depends how you play the game, but if you have one that can really change your team around like that, I think it goes into the top 10 for me, even though I was kind of just talking shit about it. Even though I was kind of just shitting on it a little bit, I think for me, it goes into the top 10 just because I want it there. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And I feel like that perfectly exemplifies it, not only in the way I play the game, but in the way most people play the game. It's no one wants to see a small little dick. No one even wants to see an average. If I saw my dick, it's probably a little bit smaller than average, probably about half the average size. But if I saw that in there, I'd be pissed. I'd be upset about it. Same with if I saw a dude who looked like me in a movie. I'd be like, "What the fuck are we doing here, guys?" It's like seeing a fat chick on the cover of Victoria's Secret or whatever. I don't want to see that, even though I don't personally, you know, I'm not big into Victoria's Secret. I don't want to see a fat chick on there. I don't want to see a chick with Down syndrome. Sorry, I don't know. Maybe that makes me racist somehow or whatever. Maybe that makes me a Nazi, but I don't want to see it in there. And so I feel like for me, and for that reason, it makes it into the top 10. And then number 17, we have cartoon. And this is maybe, this is kind of like me talking about soccer a little bit. Yeah, it's not my game. I understand the game in a way just a little bit. And so I don't know if, this is my place necessarily to talk about it, but hey, we're doing the ranking. Even if I don't know that much about this category, I feel like we have to take cartoon over hentai. I just do. I think cartoon has a bigger envelope around it, right? Because anime, technically, if you think about it, it is just a cartoon. So I think for that reason, even if you're a big hentai guy, I feel like cartoon ranks above it. I feel like hentai is just, it's the word maybe people associate with porn a little more, and so maybe that's why it's, in the top 10. But I feel like cartoon outranks it just because it hentai exists under the cartoon umbrella. And so I feel like for that reason, we gotta, if we're gonna include an animated category within there, which I feel like we have to, I feel like it's so big that we kind of have to, even if it's, not what I enjoy. I feel like we have to put it in there, right? It's like, I'm trying to think of like a football or a, NBA equivalent of it. Maybe like centers. I don't enjoy watching centers play. I feel like most people don't. I feel like that's why Michael Jordan is one of the more popular players of all time, right? He's a shooting guard. Think of the most popular NBA players globally of all time. You got LeBron, who's a power forward, maybe small forward. He's played really all positions, but he's never really played center. Same with Michael Jordan, never really played center. The biggest center of all time, the one people associate with it is Shaq, and he had a very short run. It was a dominant run, but it was a very, it wasn't as long as some of these other guys. And you know, some people do enjoy watching the centers play. Some people like watching those defensive battles in the paint, those offensive battles in the paint. It's not something that I enjoy watching in the game, but I know some people do, and so I feel like we're gonna have to put that. We're gonna have to eliminate, uh, the anime. It's it's maybe a little bit unpopular. I know a lot of people are very big anime heads, but I feel like for me, and like I said, limited knowledge around the game, so you can criticize me for that if you want to. But like I said, limited knowledge. I'm 100% willing and able to admit that. But for me, just going based off vibes alone, it ranks outside of the hentai ranks outside of the top 10 for me just because cartoon, it covers a bigger umbrella than that, right? It's like, who would you rather have? Micah Parsons or Trey Hendrickson? Even though I'm a bit of a Micah Parsons hater, I'd rather have Micah Parsons than Trey Hendrickson. I'd rather have a guy who can play multiple positions pretty well than a guy who just plays defensive end, pretty well. It's, if I had to choose between Micah Parsons and TJ Watt, however, I would choose TJ Watt because he's the best player at that position. And I feel like neither of these guys are the best player at their position. And so I kind of have to choose, the guy who's going to be able to fill more roles than the other guy who's able to fill one role really well. And so I feel like for that, maybe an unpopular opinion, but ranks outside of the top 10 for me for sure. And so then we got verified amateur next. I think what I said earlier when I was breaking it down a little bit, it it ranks over amateur because it's just, if you're going to play the game. I don't want to see any half-ass bullshit. I don't want to see guys, jogging on the field. I want to see someone playing the game, even if it's even if I don't like the way they play it, I still want to see them going full force into it, right? Even if I don't like a linebacker who drops back into coverage every single play, it's I would rather have someone do that well than have someone do that shitty. And so I feel like for that reason, we're kicking out amateur over verified amateur. Sorry. And maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I don't understand what verified amateur means. Maybe a verified amateur is someone who's like got their foot halfway in the pro leagues and halfway in the amateur leagues a little bit. But the way I understand it is this is someone who is an amateur and we know it, right? It's not someone sandbagging, you know what I mean? This isn't Adriana Chechnik pretending like she's an amateur. This is just a chick who, came from an abusive household and had a poor relationship with her father and just is trying to make $500. And so for that reason, I think, if this is your game, if this is the thing you enjoy watching, I feel like amateur or verified amateur is a better pick there. And then we have cream pie, which I just, it's 15 for a reason. I think probably in coming years we'll see it well outside of the top 20, and it's I might put BBW over cream pie. I I would rather see a chick who's like kind of thick. She's got a tummy, but she's got big tits and a big ass. I think I'd rather see that than cream pie. Fully honestly, and maybe BBW wasn't the right word there. Maybe chubby is it better? Maybe plumper is a better way to put it. But I feel like it just it doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't make any sense. It's I don't think the way the game is going, this is kind of a guy maybe in the big tits or the big dick category where he's going to phase out a little bit. He's going to start to fall off a little bit here just because the game is starting to move in a quicker direction where people just want that they want that quick, efficient. They don't want to, they don't want to slowly grind out, and have a it's get it your running back getting 3 yards every play and then eventually getting a touchdown. Yeah, it's still a touchdown, but it's it's not what people wanna watch anymore. Even if it is a better way maybe to play, I I don't think it's as exciting, and that's ultimately what this is about, right? It's people, even in the NFL and the NBA, they get confused a little bit. They're like, "Well, this guy's better than this guy. Why are they doing this?" It's not about that, right? It's about the show. It's about making money. Even if you don't win the Super Bowl every year, I feel like maybe this is like the Steelers, which it kind of breaks my heart to say that, where it's been very solid over time, and it's something people, always enjoy watching, and it's got its dedicated fan base. It's it's just it's just so mid for me. It's just so yeah, they'll make it to the playoffs, but I mean, what else beyond that? What else beyond that? And so I feel like for that reason, we're gonna have to eliminate it from our top 10 list. Sorry. Sorry, we're gonna have to. And then we have 13 Asian, and this is gonna be a tough one because we have Japanese at number 3. And like I said, this isn't skin color isn't necessarily something I seek out, and I know it's not just skin color, it's the small eyes, it's the weird high pitched voices that they have. I know it's not just skin color, but and this is kind of going to be the opposite of what we were talking about cartoon versus hentai, where Asian has the umbrella of Japanese under it, but I feel like the Japanese stuff, like I said, it's like the German stuff. It's weird, it's depraved, and something about that people enjoy it. And so I feel like for me, for that reason alone, it's just so different, and it's not something that I seek out a whole ton. I feel like we're gonna have to eliminate Asian from the game and take Japanese over that. Once again, maybe an unpopular opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the umbrella of Asian does encapsulate everything about the Japanese, but I feel like Japanese, we're not just talking about the fact that this is an Asian woman. We're talking about other things within the game, within, the plays that they can run. They can run an RPO here and there. And so I feel like for that reason, we're gonna have to eliminate Asian. And so I'm trying to count how many we have. We have 11, or wait, we have 13 left. So we're gonna have to eliminate 3 more, and then we'll do the top 5 ranking with the 10 we have left. And so our next up is popular with women. I feel like I don't have to say anything when I take this off the board. It's stupid. It just who cares what broads think? Who cares about what women think? So I feel like let me get a sip of water real quick. Sorry. I feel like for that reason, who gives a fuck about what these broads think? There's nothing more to say about this. This was probably one of the easiest eliminations we've had across the whole thing. I think maybe public was maybe an easier elimination, and amateur was maybe an easier elimination just because verified amateur was there. But this is probably there's no discussion here. No, we're not. What are we doing here, guys? Who gives a fuck? Let's be honest here. We're talking about at least 95% men, probably 98, if not 99.9. It's an incredibly small minority we're talking about here, right? Maybe once in a while you get a lifetime, once in a generation player that fits in this category that, everyone can enjoy. But, and, and that's another reason I'm eliminating it is because we're talking about such a small minority that's able to enjoy this that, actually watches porn. And so I feel like for that reason, it very, very, very easily falls outside of the top 10 for me. And then number 8, which is our next on the list, because remember we eliminated hentai and amateur, we got threesome. And this is, I feel like, another pretty easy elimination for me at least. I know people enjoy this, but I feel like there are bigger fantasies than that, right? Like we were talking about anal and cream pie. I think both of those, even ebony and MILF and transgender, fall within that, fantasy category a little bit more, and they fill that void a little bit more. Whereas threesome it just doesn't. Even if anyone that's ever watched it, it's awkward. It's incredibly awkward, and all of it is awkward because it's, obviously a disgusting thing. I mean, I don't know why people pretend that it isn't. It is very gross. All of it. But I feel like for that reason, threesome is out. It's just it's awkward. Even if some people enjoy it, it's kind of like I'm trying to think like who's someone that plays a very awkward game. Maybe like a Philip Rivers. The reason Philip Rivers probably never won an MVP is just because people didn't like how he played, even though he was a very solid player. So I feel like for that reason, for me, and I feel like most people can agree on that, it's gonna fall outside of the top 10 for it's just too awkward to watch. It's just so awkward every single time. And I feel like maybe that's why people enjoy the amateur stuff a little bit more because it's just a dude and a chick or two chicks and a camera. And so I feel like for that reason, it makes it a little bit less awkward and a little bit more fun to watch and a little bit easier to enjoy. And then we have our top seven. And let me list out the top seven for you. Let me count this out real quick. Yeah, we have MILF, anal, Japanese, lesbian, mature, ebony, and transgender. And like I was saying about transgenders are number seven. It's the one just above threesome. It's this is it might be eliminated now that I'm really thinking about that. Now that I'm looking at the rest of these. The other ones that we have that are outside of the top 10 are 16 through 19 verified amateur cartoon, big dick, and big ass. And I feel like this is maybe too niche of a category. Once again, it falls into that like threesome range where it's like, yeah, it can play a really solid game and some people really enjoy it, but it's a very, very, very niche category. I don't know how it's in the top. I don't know how it's in the top 20. Like I said, I'm a pretty deranged individual, and even I was like, yeah, no, not a big fan of this one, but maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's not, the weirdness of it. Maybe it's not the novelty. Maybe it's something else about it that people enjoy. And so we're just gonna have to go through the rest of the list. It, we might eliminate number one now that I'm thinking about it, because we have MILF and then we have mature. MILF might end up getting eliminated for me, just like I was saying earlier, because MILF, there's a lot of minos out there, MILF in name only, and so it's it's not as pure of a category for me. So I think I'm going to eliminate number one actually over transgender, and people are going to be like, well, that's because you like watching tranny porn. And no, I don't. But I can acknowledge that it's a very big category. And it's, like I said, we're talking about umbrellas earlier when we were talking about cartoon versus hentai. I feel like mature maybe has that umbrella a little bit more than MILF does, right? Because MILF, yeah, you can have like a 26-year-old mom, but it's you can find that in any other category you're looking for, right? Most of these people are desperate women who have, no way out in life. So that's why they are doing porn. And so a lot of them probably have children. And so I feel like for that reason, for me, we're going to eliminate the number one. Maybe an unpopular pick. Maybe, and, we still have anal left. Maybe that could have been something that I could have eliminated. But once again, it's number two, and there's no other umbrella category that it can kind of fit under as well. And so I feel like for me, for that reason, we're going to eliminate we're going to eliminate MILF over transgender. It was a tough battle, you know what I mean? And MILF for me, it's that umbrella of mature. Just it really takes it out of the top 10 for me pretty easily. All right, and so now, and you could argue the other way where MILF kind of has the umbrella of mature under it, but it's, either or. You can, like I said, you can kind of use them interchangeably a little bit. It's a big umbrella, and so maybe we could eliminate mature and just like satiate the people. But I feel like for me personally, I got to stand by my word. I got to do what I was saying I was going to do, and so we're going to eliminate MILF. And so our top 10 definitively with no ranking is anal, Japanese, lesbian, mature, ebony, transgender, verified amateur, cartoon, big dick, and big ass. Let me count that out. Yeah, that's right. That's 10. And so now we go to the top 10. And I feel like for me, we're going to start or the top 5, sorry. The top 5 definitive ranking. We're going to start out with my number one. I don't think there's really any question about it in any way, shape, or form. It's lesbian. It's number one. I know it's a niche category and maybe some people don't enjoy it as much, but I just don't understand how you can put it outside of the top 10. And I'm honestly a little bit surprised here because we didn't end up with any gay categories. And this is where big dick might come into play because there is a lot of gay dudes out there. And so maybe big dick, gay stuff with a big dick falls under that umbrella. But I'm still not going to put it inside of the top 5. Are you out of your fucking mind? Number one, lesbian, though. I feel like that's a pretty easy pick for me. And then I feel like with our number 2 here, this this might be a little bit contentious. It I feel like for me, the number 2 spot is between mature and ebony. This might be a thing where it's like number 2 and 3 are maybe a little bit interchangeable in the sense that I understand the greatness of them both, and I enjoy both of them, to an extent. And so I feel like for me, I'm gonna go number 2, mature, and then number 3, ebony, just because I don't know. I feel like mature, it just you got a wider range of things there, whereas ebony's a little more niche. I do understand it. I fully understand it. I know why it's in within the top 10 of the most watched of all time, and I understand why it's number 1 in America. A lot of people really enjoy it, and I do too. And this is a tough one to figure out what we got left. So we have the top 3 here. We have 2 picks left, and you know of our options, we have anal, Japanese, transgender, verified amateur, cartoon, big dick, and big ass. And I feel like number 4, we're gonna have to go with big ass here. This is once again, this is an umbrella category we're talking about. There's a lot of things that fall under here that a lot of people really, really, really enjoy. And so I feel like for number 4, and like I was saying, it just makes more sense within the game that we're talking about here. It goes at number 4 for me. And then we have number 5. This this is gonna be one because I think I have my personal top 4, and I think really the only things that I watch are within the top 4: lesbian, mature, ebony, and big ass. I feel like that for me are really the only things that I watch, and so I feel like number 5 we might have to go with a legacy pick here. Yeah, number 5. Number 5 is probably going to end up being a legacy pick, just because it's I have no personal preference left anymore. So even if you hate my top 4, you have to give my number 5 credit just because I'm going based off what everyone else thinks. Whereas my top 4 were a little bit more personal to me, but I feel like I'm an expert of the game, and so I feel like my top 4 is probably going to reflect most other people's top 4, and this is a tough one. This is a very, very, very tough one because what we have left is anal, Japanese, transgender, verified amateur, cartoon, big dick, and yeah, that's our top. That's our number 5 pick has to be one of those 6, and this is a tough one. So let's go through big dick. I think we can eliminate that one. It's like I said, it's number 18 on the list, and I think next year it'll probably be outside of the top 20. And so I feel like for me, we can kind of eliminate that one right here. Number 17 is cartoon, and we had anime porn at number 9. And so I feel like we can't automatically get rid of that one. And then 16 is verified amateur. Once again, this is we had 2 kinds of amateur within the top 20, so I'm not going to eliminate that one from contention quite yet, but I feel like it'll probably end up being outside. And then we have number 7, transgender. It's like I said, not the biggest personal fan of it. I understand the legacy around it, especially with Matt McCusker being like, "Yeah, I watched that shit. Who gives a fuck?" That probably gave it a little bit of a boost, and maybe it'll end up being higher next year as it becomes more and more accepted. But like I was saying, country music is topping the charts, so it might fall, it might rise. This is really, there's no way to tell what's going on with this one right here, and that reflects how it is in real life. Sometimes it's like, is that person is that is that a dude, or is that what the fuck is going on? So I feel like that reflects where it is in life. And then we have 3 Japanese. That might be the number 5 spot. Now that I'm saying it out loud, now that I can't think of a negative. I think the negative is that it's all censored, and so maybe that actually knocks it outside of the top 5. And then we have number 2, anal, and I think I have to put anal at number 5. I know I was, hyping up a big debate here, but I think it being at number 2, even though I personally don't understand it, it it goes there just because it's number 2. And people might be a little bit upset about that. They should maybe say you should have picked a better legacy pick, but I feel like once again, we got a wide umbrella here. You can really, whatever you're looking for, can fit in this category. There's a lot of players that could fill this role, and even transgender could fill that role. Verified amateur, big dick, even cartoon could fill that role. And so I feel like for that reason, it's just got, it's got a very high ceiling, very high ceiling. The in a in an even higher floor. To be quite honest with you,
I don't see it dropping outside of the top 10. I don't see it dropping even outside of the top 5 within the next decade. And so I feel like for me, for that reason, it's got longevity, it's got a big umbrella. A lot of, categories fit within that one, you know, which is ironic because not a lot of it's all about a tight fit. It's all about, a very specific dick going into a very specific asshole. But, I think for that reason, anal's number 5, and maybe I'm a little bit, coming over to the dark side a little bit, where it's like I can kind of understand where those people are coming from a little bit more. And so, yeah, our top 5 is in order: lesbian, mature, ebony, big ass, and then anal. And I feel like that's a very solid top 5. Very solid top 5. We got some of the favorites. We got, I think, besides MILF, I feel like we got a wide range of things within the top 10 there. Or not MILF, transgender, sorry. We got a wide range of things within top 10 there. I know a lot of people enjoy amateur, just not the biggest fan of it myself. And so that's the official ranking. It's people think you can't talk about porn for an hour. Trust me, you can. I just did it and it made me feel really bad. So, all right. Have a good day, good week, good year, good life, and I'll see you guys on probably tomorrow is probably when I'll do current events. All right, peace out.